Guys, welcome to episode 98, the next to the last one. Or, so at least we hope. So, guys, tomorrow is episode 99, the final episode of the antivirus series. At least season 1. I do hope that there is not a respike in cases where we have to do this again.
This is the 4th
So
season.
no numbers from you, ever, again. So we have a packed program today, and tomorrow too. Guys, keep the questions coming. I still want to hear what your questions are. Today we're going to start with escape from bow and arrow choke, and then we're also going to go over some triangle concepts. Kanai Kiyoshi had asked about, how to finish a stronger guy that's about 20 kilos, so 44 pounds heavier than him, roughly. He managed to triangle him, but couldn't finish him. So we'll go over that. Man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, guys, I want to say this. This is, and I may say it again tomorrow. I've been getting messages from people, and very nice messages, thanking us for, keeping this up and all, and I really appreciate it. The ones I really appreciate, I may not be as sentimental, but is when I'm getting messages from people that have come back to training, and their teammates are seeing an improvement in their game, basically from watching videos. I told you this, guys, at the very beginning, and it's proving to be true. Again, you don't have to watch every single episode. Guys, tomorrow I want to see who's 99 out of 99. All right? And by the way, you don't have to watch it live to be 99 out of 99. All right? So let's get to it. Escape from bow and arrow choke. How do you want to set it up?
From the back.
Oh. So guys, when you get caught in bow and arrow choke, you reach for his collar with your fist, accidentally punch him in the head. Just kidding. So, guys, one of the most important things when you're caught in a submission is to prioritize what you have to do first. So don't try to, escape this first. Your most important thing is, especially if this is tight. And also in the early stages of this attack, that's the easiest time to slip the elbow. That's the most important thing, okay? So right now, once I'm caught deep or once he adjusts the elbow, but as he's still getting into position, that's the easiest time to slip the elbow. Now, I'm still not safe yet, right? Because my arm is hanging out here. So right away, I'm going to try to bring my arm in because you don't want to escape the elbow and be caught in an arm lock. But if you do, guys, if you cannot retract your arm, think ahead already. So start to, this takes practice where you start to think in sequences for yourself when you're attacking, but also on the defensive side. Okay, I escaped. This is number one priority, but I also am vulnerable to this. So you might be able to defend both at the same time, but if you can't, you slip and then you start to defend the arm lock immediately before he has a chance to extend and finish you with it. Okay? So, let's look at it again. So you get caught in a bow and arrow. So right now, even if his elbow is tight, as I'm going down, you have a chance to untighten it. All right? Because he's going to be bringing you down at a certain rate of pace, certain speed. So I want to accelerate that speed. So when he's attached, when his elbow is attached, so I accelerate, and then when he's trying to match it, I open the space and slip out. All right? So the most important thing when I get caught in this, again, is to deal with the choke. So as he's going down, I'm going to slip my elbow, and now I'm going to deal with the possibility of an arm lock. I'm already dealing with it to begin with. If he manages to extend, guys, probably I'm going to try to come out into an omoplata, possibly to the other side. Okay? So again, you cannot, a lot of times when you're under attack, it depends how sophisticated your training partner is, how high level game he has. you have to make sure that you defend not just the initial attack, but also the follow-up attack. If you can defend both at the same time, that's even better. One thing, if you get caught really deep, and I had a guy escape like this, but if you can do this, so if you caught, there's no other recourse, just grab your lapel and yank hard. Okay? I personally rather slip the elbow because now he's completely lost his submission. Here, he's going to be in a better position to follow up. Okay? So if I can slip the elbow, I'm going to do that. So I could not get my arm under his leg, right? So how do I get under? There's no space. Raise your hips, drop them, and now you can. All right? So first, try to slip the elbow. That's number one priority. All right? If I can break this grip and turn to him, that's another possibility. The problem is your arm stays out a lot more than slipping the elbow. So if I just break the grip on the pants, which is not necessarily difficult, and then try to spin sort of into the chokes, which takes the power away. If I turn away, it's making it tighter. So if I'm turning to my right, it's making it tighter. If I'm turning to my left, it's making it. But I'm still at a threat, and my arm is constantly under danger. All right. So again, my number one priority is to slip the elbow. I haven't been caught in a bow and arrow choke in a long time. If the guy's got a firm grip, this is sort of like the last ditch effort just to yank it, break his grip. But again, the number one priority for me is to slip his elbow. If I can slip his elbow, I'm out. And I'm just going to scramble. Even if my arm is still there, I'm going to scramble on my terms. If I'm stripping his leg grip, okay, my arm gets extended. It's much, much harder to retract it now. So, go ahead. Yeah, now this is under pretty severe threat. He can do sort of a triangle. He can attack the arm. He can top lock me. There's a lot of things he can do. So my personal preference, again, if I try to slip my arm at the same time as slipping the elbow, but if I slip the elbow and my arm starts to get taken, I'm already halfway into the spin. I'm going to be able to deal with his follow-up attack. Okay? Now, if you do my variation of the bow and arrow choke, it's a little bit harder to escape. All right? So, I hope I can escape. Because nobody's done this to me, guys. So, shit. It's too late. Oh. Now you know why I use that variation. Okay, let me regroup. Let me get my blood back to my brain. But now you know why that variation is for me, is better than the other one. Because when you do my variation, first of all, the head stops him spinning. Okay? Second of all, that elbow, because he's like on the bottom of the ground, it's much harder to slip the elbow if you miss that initial setup. So, all right, guys, I'm back. Most of my blood has returned back to my brain. So do my variation. Oh, shit. Oh, yes, I did it. Guys, it was a struggle, I have to be honest with you. But that's the way. You got to slip the elbow. That's the only way I can think of right now with my limited thinking capacity. So now you know why I prefer my bow and arrow choke versus the traditional one. I have not seen anybody use it. I'm not saying that nobody else has not used it before, but I've never seen anybody use it like that. So now you know why I prefer it that way. It's you either escape, slip the elbow, and if you don't, you're pretty much cooked. I've put people out with it, and I really have not thought about escape because nobody caught me in it yet. Knock on wood.
Everybody's saying Enrique got one.
It only took 98 episodes.
GM Baseball says that was like Wile E. Coyote catching the Roadrunner.
Did that ever happen? I forgot.
I think one episode he didn't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with my hands. So, do we have any questions on this, guys? Because otherwise, we're going to move on to triangles.
And lots of peers asking, what if you bridged to your right and turned to your knees?
I'll invite you to my academy for you to come and try this. You're going to be doing
But from which variation?
my
Foxes,
variation.
Yeah.
Because the other one you can escape. Not fairly easily, but you can escape it.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
To my right. I'm back, baby. Does that answer your question? Does Enrique need to put his life on the line again to see how that works out?
And Caleb Throop says, legit, I hit my first north-south choke within like 40 seconds of my first roll back. It was a direct result of watching this. Unfolded exactly as you demonstrated, and I never even drilled it.
I really appreciate this, guys. Again, guys, I do appreciate the thanks and you know, like what people are speaking from their heart. It really warms my heart. This one, you know, when people say this is not as sentimental to me, but it is very. It's a proof that that the visual learning works, and to me that's huge. I'm gonna give you one more chance. See if you can strip
The grip.
the leg. Yeah.
A lot said I would gladly accept your invitation.
Yeah, I know a lot. I know you missed the Czech BJJ camp, but we're already planning that, guys. If we already have 2 firm dates for 2 camps. Seminars I usually line up, you know, a month to 2 months before, but camps I line up a little bit in advance. So we have the Costa Rican camp February 23rd to February 28th. That's already firm. And we also have the Czech camp, which is, I believe, don't quote, it's going to be always Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think it's like June 11th to 13th, right around that weekend, if I'm off by a day or 2. All right, so we have those firm dates. And I think we're sort of somewhat planning the Bulgarian camp, which was supposed to take place end of this July. And we're going to, that's going to be the inaugural Bulgarian camp, the first one. So it's going to be on the Black Sea, and we are trying to come up with dates for 2021. But the Czech one and the Costa Rican ones are all lined up. So hopefully I'll see you next year in Czech, Ilan. Unless I see you before that so see if you can strip. Oh. I gotta be honest with you guys, this hurt my wrist. But but I committed to it, and if I'm better on the other side, because I'm joking. But if you have a decent wrist or decent, it's just not gonna happen, even if he breaks the leg grip. So again, the reason, you know, this is why I prefer that one.
The Fox bow and arrow.
Fox bow and arrow. We have too many Fox moves. We're gonna have to call him something else. I just call it modified bow and arrow. You know, I guess it doesn't look like a bow and arrow. What's that other weapon that's not a bow and arrow, but it's you know, guys, history buffs. What's the other weapon that's not a bow and arrow, but it's a derivative of bow and arrow?
Bow and arrow.
Crossbow?
deliberate.
Crossbow. Let's call it crossbow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Fox with it.
Okay. All right, guys. So let's move on. Do we have any questions? Let's move on.
Shaka Zulu says, my first row back, I was seeing Fox-style arm locks everywhere, but my quarantine belly was getting in the way.
That's when you use your quarantine belly as a fulcrum.
And Adolfo is asking, Fox, in your style of bow and arrow, this time you held his arm versus the pent grip. Why?
No, because he stripped it. I gave him a chance to strip it. I wanted to see if stripping that pan grip is going to help him escape, which he did not. But the point is, my head has a role in controlling it. So he stripped it, so I went to the arm. That was on autopilot. I would normally just place my head next to his torso, so he has limited movement. So he can only go towards the choke, which makes it tighter. But he cannot move to his left, which would have made it looser.
And Rashid says, I feel like I've had a set of 30 to 40 classmates during the lockdown. Thank you all.
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think, guys, again, we talked about this yesterday. One of the things that makes me very happy is sort of the global community we've created. And when I say we, I don't mean just, Enrique, Mike, and me, but including you guys, including my students, including literally you from all over the world. And I think it'd be amazing if 2 years somebody's traveling somewhere and they know each other and stop by each other, have a beer with each other, or have training with each other in some far-flung part of the world or here in the U.S. So let's move on, guys. Let's go to triangle. So I think Kanai Kiyoshi, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So he triangled a big guy, sort of, and locked it up, but the guy buried his arm and started to cut the corner. There are two things when I'm triangling people that I need to prioritize. One is to keep their posture down, which we usually accomplish by holding onto my shin. This is very, very important, especially if you have a marginal triangle. This is marginal right now. This is not good. Okay? I can't go any lower. This is marginal, so I want to make sure I control his posture. I'm going to hold on to my shin. So number one priority is keep his posture down. So I need to control him first, okay? Second thing is I want to try to cut the angle. If I can cut the angle, I don't need his leg. I don't need Enrique's leg. I'm going to keep cutting it to his arm, all right? If I can cut the angle, this will happen. So even if for a marginal triangle, this will happen. So I need to continue to cut the angle towards the side that I want to go to. All right, let's look at it from a little bit slightly different angle. So as I lock it up, he cut the angle to his advantage. So if I can continue to cut my angle towards my left on this side, this will happen. This will happen. This is one of the biggest failures in triangles, that people don't cut the angle. Sometimes it's not possible because his arm is just, his clamp on your leg is just too strong. We're going to go over that. But try to cut the angle. His arm is stronger when it's resting on the floor, so it's almost like anchored. I can get his arm off the floor very easily. I don't want to get it too high, right? Remember, we don't bring the arm over because we're giving him escape posture. But I can bring his, all I need is just this much. Then his arm is not as strong, so you can continue to cut the angle. If I cannot reach under his leg, you can reach under his arm. So continue to cut the angle. You'll be surprised how many triangles that you normally would not finish, you will finish just because you're cutting the angle. We're going to go over what happens if you just can't. The guy's too strong. That can happen too. All right, so let's look at it one more time, guys. So he changed the angle for me. So I can't go under his leg, but I can very easily go under his arm. So look, pay attention to what I'm doing. I raise my hips tiny bit, guys. I don't want him to anchor strong on the ground. I just raise them just enough that his arm comes off the ground and I have a little bit of, oh, I didn't have to go too far. So guys, broken posture, hand on the shin, and keep cutting the angle. If you cannot go under his leg, go under his arm. Do we have any questions on this before we move to what happens if the guy is just too strong, you cannot cut the angle whatsoever?
And I said, that's the position. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. So we keep going with this position. All right? So it's very important to get his elbow off the ground, guys. But raise your hips. Do not do this. I'm going to give you two opportunities to escape. Okay? One is I'm going to keep cutting the angle. The other one is going to bring the arm over. So in this one, guys, I just continued to hold on to my shin, keep his posture broken, and cutting the angle. Now I'm going to let blood return to his brain, and then I'm going to bring the arm over for supposedly a more efficient finish. Yes. Oh, 10 minutes, crap. We're going to move. Let's move. Chop, chop. So this time, I'm going to bring...
I surrender.
I barely eked this out.
Peace.
You could see the massive difference, guys. Once he postures up, any guy that's been training for a while, purple belt and up, the minute, even some good blue belts, the minute you give them posture, they just like, and the pressure on your ankles gets very, like your ankles just basically extend as far as they can go. And you disengage very quickly. So keep cutting the angle, bring him down, and all you need to do is raise your hips just a tiny bit. Not high enough so you can bring the arm over, just tiny bit so his elbow doesn't rest on the floor so you can keep cutting the angle towards the opposite side.
Rashid is asking, anything to help with getting the triangle fully locked in, i.e. the foot behind the knee and tight? I don't have long legs, but I have larger thighs.
Oh yeah, when you lock it up. You know, you got to look at the triangle. There was an episode we did all on triangles. So if you have any follow-up questions, watch that episode. Again, guys, on episode 50, there is a full index of all the episodes. Thank you, Adolfo. So look at the triangle episode, and if there's any clarifications, I'll be happy to go over it tomorrow.
He says, will do. Thank you.
Okay, now, so let's go to what happens. We're staying on the same side. So, sometimes this happens. The guy locks up his arms, and I just cannot, absolutely cannot, cut the angle to my left. So, a lot of people, what they do is they disengage this leg and try to reinforce it by putting it on the hip. And that's almost like a surefire escape for him. So don't do that. So when this happens, guys, what I'm going to do is, again, what is my number one priority, guys? Posture broken. So my hand goes over his head, and I'm going to grab my opposite shin. I do not open. I just, I was like this, all right? I make sure his head stays where it is. He cannot posture up. If he postures up, he'll escape. So I'm locked up. I reverse the triangle. Now, what do we know about reverse triangle? It's actually a better form of control than a straight triangle, but harder to finish, harder to squeeze. So first thing I would do is squeeze. So it can be done, but so now I'm going to reinforce the triangle. You don't lift him up like this, guys. He's gone. So if I'm going to lift him, I reinforce my triangle, reverse triangle in this case. Ideally, I'd like to have my heel next to his neck, not on his back, but it doesn't matter. I want to make sure that when I lift him up, I can start to rise. I can always reel him back in. And you could put your fist on the other carotid and squeeze. you could also attack this arm. So when you put somebody in reverse triangle, now you have the angle where your legs are not coming apart. You have very strong form of control, and you can reinforce the submission. So now you have your traditional reverse triangle submission, which is harder than a straight triangle, but you can always put your free hand on his carotid and compress. It's brutal. And you always have that arm that's stuck in there to finish him with. So next time you lock up a very strong guy, make sure that you grab your shin, control his posture so he cannot move. If he starts to move, you need to be able to reel him back in between your legs, knees to your chest, and the hand. He cannot, if you make him go up, you can bring him back down anytime. So you cannot go up too far, because then he's going to get better posture. Now he's got better pushing power. So you got to make sure that you can raise him up 6 inches, 10 inches, but you can always bring him down with your hand on the shin. Hand on the, fist on the carotid, or you got the other arm to attack. So what I would do is, if you get stuck in a triangle where the guy is savvy enough that he cuts the angle. So normally I want to be, so on this triangle, I want to be cutting the angle. That's where I want to be. But if I get stuck here, this is what I'm going to do. One more after this one.
Shaka is asking, how do you react when you try to cut the angle and the opponent stacks you up and then steps over your head with his leg to use it to posture up and break the lock?
You can't. You cannot let him do that. How do you prevent him from doing this? He can lift you or he can stack you when you square up to him. Okay? Once you start to cut the angle, he cannot lift you. He cannot stack you. If he's going to stand up, I'm switching from his arm to his leg. Okay? Let's do the other side so they can see. So as I'm cutting the angle, so in order for him to stand up, he needs to get his legs underneath his torso. So I go from under his armpit to under his leg. He cannot. I've had literally 300-pound guys. I posted a picture of one of them where, I always pick the big guys. If you're the biggest guy in the seminar, I'm going to pick you, because that's the best illustration. I don't care how big you are. I have yet to have somebody pick me up. They'll pick me up if I'm square up. But once I do the correct technique, so I usually do it wrong and then I do it right. Once I go under their knee, they cannot pick me up. So I switch from under the armpit to under the knee. So the only possibility he has is to stay on his knees and throw the leg over. So let's see how that works out for Enrique. I was going to set it up. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stay on your knees.
Okay.
So if you rise up, I will. So bring your knees over. Try to bring your knees over. Over my head. Step over. Step over. Step over. Can you step over?
I can't.
What can you do? Can you stand up?
I'll try to back up.
No, that's not going to happen.
Lane Young says, Enrique, thank you for sacrificing yourself for all of us.
Someone has to do it.
And Shimoon is asking, what if he holds his hands tight while you're in the reverse triangle so you can't attack the arm?
So, this actually happened to somebody, Mike. Who did it happen to?
Was it me?
It was you. In an MMA fight.
Yeah.
And the hand is free. Now, let's say that it's no punches are allowed. Okay? I'm sorry, Enrique. We're doing it for the viewers. Does that answer your question?
And Joseph Duncton is asking, what would your go-to escape be
For Enrique?
for the triangle?
For me?
Yeah.
Straight? To be honest with you, if it's reversed, I have yet to figure it out.
Regular triangle, he said.
Reverse, the best chance is
Regular.
we actually talked about it with in Münster when I did a seminar. Like you can drop, kind of like create a sort of weird scramble where you drop and you hope the guy adjusts because you can escape doing the adjustment. That's the best escape I know so far for reverse. The problem is if I don't adjust, if I'm doing it and the guy drops and I don't adjust, it's still on. So let's go to regular.
You're gonna escape?
I'm gonna try. Oh. That's my regular escape. I escaped, guys. So let's do a little slower now. So. That's probably my number one escape. Hand on the ground so he cannot cut the angle. Because that's cutting the angle is what makes the triangle kick on. But hand on the ground. So, at the end of the day, guys, it's a question of who initiates, who's got better execution, who's got better technique, better timing. You know, there's a counter to everything. And if there's no counter, we have not figured it out yet. That's what it means.
And let's see. Dowhead is asking, how do you do a triangle from side mount?
I usually don't. When I'm in side mount, there's ways you can triangle people, but I usually go for an arm lock instead, using triangle as a backup plan.
Billy Tanner is saying, everything you've done has been great, but I really like the split guard. I will work on it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, guys. Like I said, I think for me, the way I play guard is it's usually open guard, but I may close it temporarily to set it up, and I will alternate between perpendicular guard and a split guard. That's sort of the two ranges where my game is most comfortable, and I keep threatening him with either a sweep or submission.
And last question, Jack Kirby is asking, what is your favorite triangle to hit as a Kimura defense?
Kimura defense.
Wait, what?
Favorite triangle.
To Kimura defense? I don't.
Oh, probably like getting the inverted triangle if I grab my hands in the Kimura.
No, I usually will not. You can, if somebody goes for a Kimura, that grip is to some extent can be symmetrical for you as well. So it opens them up for an arm lock. But usually I don't look for triangles. I don't. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific opening for a triangle from defending a kimura. I can think of arm locks, but not triangles.
A lot is saying he means when you roll from the kimura.
Can you think?
From side
Yeah.
control.
It's when you end up on that like almost crucifix with the kimura, and you can either go back triangle or inverted triangle.
Yeah, but that's not. You're
That's-
talking about from here.
Like
You're correct.
so, you do the rolling kimura.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can throw top like.
Yeah, I know, but I told you from a defending the kimura. So you're supposed to triangle me.
Oh,
Good luck with that.
yeah, I cannot try.
I think he's talking this.
This is, but this is when when I'm on the offensive side. So this is different. This is when I'm, I have the kimura and I can hit a triangle, but
Yeah, that's the only way I can think.
but not from defending, from the defensive side.
And last thing, Shinmoon says, I just started watching these a few days ago, but I sure will watch them all now. Great content. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Adolfo has been talking about drinks on Enrique after class tomorrow, right? And then G and Baseball followed up.
For me.
Well, G and Baseball got you on that. He said after all Enrique has been, we got to buy.
When they visit. So, guys, we're out of time. So we'll see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, for the last episode of the Antivirus Edition, episode number 99.
Show finale.
Show finale, yes.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. So
Like.
let me get this straight. Hold on one second. I think I got this now. So guys, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube.
There you
Yeah. Took me only 98 episodes to get this right. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Stay well and be nice.